Hey there, guys. First up in the free video series with programming, bench press. Look, there's many different programs you can follow, and so many people have put out so much information. But this is just my take, and mind you, it's going to depend where you are in your lifting journey. So typically for bench press, I have 2 days, a Monday and a Thursday. You can choose whatever days you want, but you want at least 2 days of rest in between your heavy session and your light session. So for me, I only do normally 2 sets of either 5 or 2 sets of 10, followed by a back off set. Now, that's for me because I'm at a much more advanced level of lifting than most. For the beginners and intermediates on the heavy bench day, 4 sets of 10 works well, or 4 sets of 8. This is like general volume, getting used to the movement pattern, getting your technique down pat. They all make big differences. When you get a little bit stronger, you can go to 4 sets of 6 or 4 sets of 5. But generally, you'll find 4 sets for most people works really well. Now, a lot of people overcomplicate it, and they do heaps and heaps of sets, heaps and heaps of reps. You just need to realize that the bench press is a movement at the end of the day. And it works chest, shoulders, triceps, just keeping it really basic. So after you've done your 4 sets, you then want to move across to overhead press. Now you can either choose barbell, dumbbell, whatever you want. You just want to work your shoulders thoroughly, but not to the same intensity level as you just did on bench press. There's already going to be fatigue. You're just trying to get in a little bit of extra volume, really work, your shoulders thoroughly. It doesn't matter if you then do some lateral raises or rear delt flyers or front raises. The main staple for your heavy bench press day is getting in those 4 quality work sets. After that, if you want to do some narrow grip bench press or play around on the incline or play around on the decline bench press, feel free to do so. Just take note of, your sets and reps. I wouldn't do any more than 4 sets of a particular exercise for a back off. Personally, I'd say you're better off just doing 2 sets and then choosing another exercise and working a variety of different angles. After you've done your 4 sets of bench press, you then want to pick assistant exercises, 1, that are functional, but 2, that you also enjoy and you have a bit of freedom within, your own training. There might be some exercises from time to time. It's like, what, I want to try that. The most important part, as I said, is just getting in those 4, quality working sets. And break times, they take about, 5 to 7 minutes normally. Now, when you first start running, this program, you want to make sure that the difficulty is only about an 8 out of 10, for your last set of bench. Then the next week, you just add, 2.5 kilos, or if you're in the States, add 5 pounds, whatever it is, and you progress that way. So it's linear progression to an extent. And then, you'll hit a point where you can no longer get the reps that you're doing. If you're doing 8 reps, you might then, by week 5 or 6, you might find that you can only get, 7 on your last set or 6 on your last set. That's fine. I keep going until your first set you can't get, 8, if that's what you started with, or if it was 10 until you can't get 10. When that happens, take off, maybe 3 weeks worth of progress. So that's going to be about 7.5 kilos or 15 pounds. And then, reset the base from there. Have a deload that week. You might just train at 80% of, the weight that you were using. Then the week after, you go back those 3 weeks and you start there. And it's just linear progression again. It's very, very simple, works quite well. And then, the weeks where you've had that bit of a deload and it's easier, that is where you then get to put more energy into your assistant exercises, your shoulders and your triceps, even biceps to an extent, because they help stabilize the elbow joint under load. Then on your light day, it mirrors whatever you did on your heavy day, except the weight is only 80%. So if you were using 100 kilos or 100 pounds on, say, the Monday, then, you know, the Thursday is only going to be 80 kilos or 80 pounds, whatever you're using. It's just 80%. Same reps, it's just an easier session. If you want, you can bring the break times down from 7 minutes to, you know, whatever's workable. For you, it might only be 2 or 3 minutes, depending on your, you know, level of lifting and general conditioning. So Thursdays, yeah, it's a mirror of Monday, but only at 80%. Then, you know, when you start throwing in heavy squats and heavy deadlifts into the mix as well, the harder you push your squats and deadlifts, the more total tax there's going to be on the body. You only have X amount of resources to recover. So normally if you're trying to really get your bench press to improve, legs, you just keep the bare minimum so you don't go backwards or make very slight, you know, progress forward. But the goal is to let your bench press go up and to recover. And it's the same thing, you know, when you get to squats, you know, you cut everything else back to the bare minimum so you don't regress. But, you know, you want those resources so that you can adequately recover and improve on the lifts that you're doing. I'm not a big advocate of trying to get all 3 lifts to progress at once. I find, you know, especially at my level of lifting, it's just too taxing on the body, and I have a life to lead as well. So I rather develop bench and then put the bench on the back burner, and then develop squats and put the squats on the back burner, and then play around, you know, with Atlas stones and natural stones and bring up my deadlift. Makes training a lot more enjoyable, and life is a lot more manageable as well, because you're not putting in, you know, huge chunks of time consistently, which, you know, if you're pushing really, really hard in training, depending on your level, cortisol levels can rise and everything just becomes more complicated. So with, you know, bench and sticking to this, Mondays are heavy, Thursdays are light. Total quality working sets for bench 4. Assistant exercises, pick 3 of them and do anywhere from 2 to 4 sets on those. Again, you know, you want to save a rep in the tank for each of the assistant exercises. You don't want to be pushing them all to failure. You don't run to failure. And, you know, progressive overload, keeping your reps clean, keeping them moving well is going to go a long way in terms of total progression, injury management, and you're just going to progress a lot further. You look at a lot of the people currently, you know, training in gyms, look at how many actually train to failure, and you'll see that overall they don't progress ridiculously quickly. If you're more, you know, structured with your training, trust in the system that you have, you're going to make a lot more progress. Mechanical stress is still placed on the muscle, you know, when you're lifting anyway. You're still going to get that micro damage anyway, and you're going to recover and get stronger. Also, by not failing, you know, your reps, you're going to be keeping your movement patterns really clean, because, you know, when you start to fail, things start to break down, you start twisting in odd ways, moving in odd ways, you know, and you're sort of learning negative motor patterns, which you really don't want to have. So keep your reps clean, make them sort of on the quicker side, don't make them ridiculously fast. You know, you still want to control the weight, but move the weight with a bit of force and intention and speed. Don't purposely go slow. If you want to do really slow reps, save that more for your assistant exercises. For chest, you might do flies, you know, get a good stretch by going slow. But as a whole, you want to keep your reps moving well. I hope this helps you guys. Hit like and subscribe and comment below if you need assistance.